Continuing now with the Impact segment, let's bring in Fox News analyst Katharine and Alicia Menendez, who is in for Juan Williams tonight. Juan will join us in a moment to talk about his new book on NPR. Both ladies are in Washington this evening. So, were you offended by the New York Times highlighting the word Christian in its headline, Katharine?
Yeah, look, I think it's a problem. First of all, I'll say, as I'm a political animal, I try very hard not to immediately jump on my political hobby horse and figure out where I can ride it immediately in the aftermath of a tragedy like this. And I think a lot of other people would do good to do that as well. I think the New York Times, many liberals, activists certainly desperately want an analog to extremist Islam so that they can sort of pat themselves on the back for making this equivalence. But you know what? A lot of times the term used for this guy, and if you read his writings, it's certainly not mainstream Christian fundamentalism in any way, shape, or form. In fact, he talks about paganism. As with many crazy people, it goes down a rabbit hole. But here's the deal. They've been referring to him as a Christian fundamentalist. Well, they referred to the Duggars in Arkansas as Christian fundamentalists too. So which is it? Is it having lots of children that makes you a crazy, violent threat, or killing lots of children?
Okay,
I mean,
well,
the equivalence is just insane.
We can find, Alicia, no evidence that this man practiced Christianity at all. Time was associated with any church, as far as we know. Okay. Didn't carry a Bible around. No educational background in that regard. Totally secular guy. But now he's a Christian terrorist. So I think this is patently dishonest.
And when you go back and you look for the original source, it's based on an AP article where, as you said, you had one police officer speculating that he spent time on these Christian sites. So I, as a Christian, find it a little dishonest. I find it erroneous, and it's unproductive. To me, it looks like lazy reporting, much like you had the Washington Post.
No. The reporter didn't write the headline. The editors wrote the headline. It's page one.
Okay, so it's lazy
That's
editing.
The big kahuna. That big kahuna. This is above the fold, banner headline, throw it up there again. Porter had nothing to do with this. This was, we sit down,
so then can we agree that it was lazy editing?
Wait. I want everybody to know how this works. This is, the editors of the New York Times sit down. They decide what their lead story is going to be and what their above the fold headline is going to be. And then they put it there. Porter has nothing to do with it. Okay? This was an intentional, without a doubt, intentional brand of a mass murderer as a Christian. It is appalling. This is a serious situation, ladies. This isn't a mistake or sloppiness or laziness. This is appalling. Go ahead, Alicia.
I think that we can agree that it's appalling, but we can also agree that there is another narrative going on here, which is that this man clearly was very radical in his beliefs. This was not him just randomly opening fire on a random group of people.
That's a political situation.
The point, Bill, is that to me is the greater crime here, that in trying and using the term Christian, they buried what was the real lead, which is that he was radical in his political beliefs.
This guy was an anti-Muslim bigot. Right. That's what he was. That's what the record shows. All of his rantings and ravings on the net comes back to the fact, Katharine, that he didn't like the Muslim intrusion into Norway and into Europe. That's what drove him. Not Jesus, not being baptized, nothing. Yet it was distorted. Go ahead.
Alicia is correct that there are political and cultural implications here, but as far as the actual groups who would have supported, say, like pro-assimilation policies and that kind of thing, they actually kept out of their groups, so they were not connected in any way.
There isn't a Christian group on earth who would embrace this man.
And the thing is about the New York Times and whether these things are intentional, I mean, you kind of have to look at the record here, and when the left and the media were so blazingly, spectacularly, and I think many times intentionally wrong about something like Jared Loughner, because all they want to do is pin that on the Tea Party.
Absolutely,
it's been the narrative for 3 years, and they keep doing it.
It's not just about Muslims. It goes back to me. It goes
back
to me.
But are we going to overlook?
Go ahead.
But Bill, we have the Wall Street Journal also assuming that this was a jihadist before they had all the facts.
Well,
on both sides.
That's their fault. But they didn't banner it after thought and sitting down. They just took, the reports that are always erroneous.
Some jihadists also claim
that's sloppy and lazy. That's what that is. But this is intentional. People should know Americans of all faiths, Muslim, Jewish, Shinto, Catholic, whatever you should know, that there is a movement in the American media to diminish and marginalize the Christian philosophy. Mary Katharine, I'll give you the last word. Go.
Well, I mean, I think it's clear that, like, a lot of this is intentional. It's been going on for 3 years. It's sort of a crapshoot. They just sort of lay down this narrative every time there's a site and it ends up being the case. In this one case that he has some sort of right-leaning ideas, but I think folks made mistakes. They jumped to conclusions. We could stop doing that in the future. Many people on the left would be great if we just want to nail this on our convenient political enemy.
Okay, ladies, thanks very much. Plenty more ahead as the factor moves.